Hello and welcome to On the Turf, hosted by four guys who have never been on the turf. My name is Arjun Ryan,
I'm Shribam Khanda.
Danny.
And I'm Ron Patel.
and as you can see, we're all apart. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. The last On the Turf Thanksgiving episode, guys, because we've announced this final season of On the Turf. Obviously, Shree and I talked about it last week. Excited to kind of bring you guys the final stretch of episodes, but we still have a couple more months to go until that point. Heading into week 13, fun week 12. Um, we had some AFC contenders face off. I'd say probably the wide host of games weren't amazing, but Shree, thoughts on week 12 right off the bat? Had some good games between the Ravens, Chargers, Packers, Niners.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, like I think we were talking about it while the game happened, like Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, like amazing game. I first of all, I just want to applaud Justin Herbert's maturity during that press conference. I think we were talking about it. If it was Aaron Rodgers in that press conference, it would have been so bad for Quentin Johnson. He would have been off the team. But I think the Chargers are like legit contenders. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I just think the Ravens are just a great team. And I just think the Chargers need another year. Like Justin Herbert just isn't enough to make them a contender, even though he's doing like everything he has. We were surprised with how efficient the Chargers have been on offense with no weapons. But I think, this is one of those teams that have really done everything they could with the roster that they've got. And they will make the playoff run, I think. Maybe they'll pull off an upset in the playoffs. But, I think the Chargers just need another year. I knew the Ravens were going to win. I feel like the Ravens have established themselves as the best offense in the league, except against the Steelers, obviously, for obvious reasons. But yeah, I thought that was a good game.
Yeah, I'll say on the Chargers really quickly. I think they remind me a lot of the Lions from a couple of years ago. Um, or you can even say the Ravens if you want to make the Harbaugh comparison. They're a team that can really run the ball with the star quarterback, but just don't have enough around him right now. Like you said, Shree, another year, I fully expect this team to be a Super Bowl contender. They're built to win the right way. They're built in the trenches. Joe Alt was a great pick they made in the first round this year, and Harbaugh is going to bring that kind of tough football to this team. They have the quarterback, they have the coach, so they have the important parts, and I fully expect this team to be. They will make the playoffs this year, probably a first round exit, but they will be in the Super Bowl mix next year for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to go the other side of the ball, the Ravens. I don't know what to make of these guys. I mean, every single week they look offensively elite, except for when they play the AFC North. I mean, what are your thoughts on them? I think it's like, are they contenders or is this a team that is severely hampered by their ability to perform in big time games? This is a game where it's a great defense. They still put up 30 points. But are they legit? I mean, you see them against the Steelers and Lamar turns into a pumpkin every time. Is this a team that can get over the hump, do you guys think now?
I think this is a team that lives and dies by their running game and whether or not they're able to control time of possession in the game in general. Because when Lamar is forced to throw, I saw a stat when Lamar throws 30 plus times this year, I think he's either 1-4 or 2-3. But either way, when they lean heavily on Lamar, it's not really a recipe for winning for this Ravens team. So they really do need to get that running game going. And sorry, my dad just yelled my names that threw me out of sorts, but go on. Sorry, whoever wants to jump in.
I'll jump in here really quickly just on that. I think this should put an end. I'm sorry, not to be the Lamar hater here, but to the Lamar MVP race. I know Lamar has the stats. I know Lamar does. You don't have to tell me that. But Camille, what you just said, and the fact that when Derrick Henry rushes over 90 yards, this team is undefeated, tells you that this is a very good team. This is a very good offense. But I don't think this team is that much different from the Ravens teams we've seen before, but with a worse defense. This is a team with a superstar quarterback, but the moment he plays the Steelers, the moment he plays the Chiefs, the moment his number is called in the playoffs, I don't know if he's going to be able to perform. I really don't think this is that. I don't think the Ravens, we're talking about them being the best offense in the league. First of all, I think the Lions are the best offense in the league.
Oh
But I
yeah,
think
yeah,
I do
Yeah,
think the
easily.
Ravens,
I
this is the
probably
same
also,
old
yeah.
Ravens, to be honest with you.
I disagree with that though. You didn't have a wrecking ball at running back these past few years. I mean, that's a huge shift for a run heavy team to get a guy like Derrick Henry who's performing at this level. I think they're in the same tier as the Bills and the Chiefs. Do I think they can beat them in the playoffs? I don't know. But I do think they're firmly in that tier.
But I'm just curious. I have a question for Rohan and Campillo. Um, if the Steelers and Ravens played each other in the playoffs, like who are you guys taking?
I got the Steelers.
All right, there we go.
No,
Good, right answer. Good
that's
answer. Okay.
that's
I need to see how the second game plays out. But if I had to pick right now, I would pick the Steelers. They just have their number for whatever reason.
But for
Perfect.
some reason, the Ravens are ahead in every single power ranking. For some
Always,
reason.
always.
For
because
some
Mike
reason.
Tomlin just knows how to cage in Lamar and how to play against him.
Yeah. But let's switch gears. Should we talk about Packers Niners? 38
Yeah.
to 10 for the Packers. Obviously, Brock Purdy didn't play. Nick Bosa didn't play. The Niners severely undermanned right now. Packers, Jordan Love really didn't have to do much. I think he threw about 22 passes that game. Josh Jacobs with 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards. What do we think? Are the Packers Super Bowl contenders? Are the Niners completely out at this point? What do we think? Camille, I'll go to you first.
I don't think the Packers are Super Bowl contenders this year, just because I think the Eagles and the Lions are the two dominant teams in the NFC, and I don't see, any team being able to beat those two teams twice. But hey, the Packers, I mean, they still got some good stuff going. I mean, Josh Jacobs is was a really good pickup. I think he's top three in rushing yards in the NFL so far to start the year. And as a whole, you look at this offense, I really like what they're doing defensively. Bit of room for improvement, but on the whole, I still don't think it's enough for them to match up to the top teams in the NFC. But as far as the Niners go, I didn't want to believe it this year. I know you guys are saying that this is going to be like a repeat of the 2020 year. They're going to have Super Bowl hangover, lots of injuries. I said no, these Niners are still going to be good. They're a good team, and the thing is, they are a good team, but it's just shaking out the way you guys said it would, and it's really sad to see. But lost years happen, and they'll be back next year.
Yeah, this is really just an injury year for the Niners. I don't put too much stock in this game either way. I think the Niners, their season is done, especially with Brock Purdy out long term. Packers, it's a nice win, but I mean, you look recently, and I feel like the other two big litmus tests were the Lions and the Vikings. They lost both of those. Close game against the close game against the Bears that they also should have lost. I don't love them. I think Jordan Love's still a little too inconsistent when you need him to win you games. He's a little erratic with the ball sometimes. They'll be fine. I mean, this is a team that'll be set up really nicely for the next 5 years, but right now, not a playoff or not a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, quickly on the Packers, I was probably one of the biggest, if not our show's biggest Jordan Love stan this entire offseason. But I have to agree with you guys. I think the Packers have shown what kind of team they are. They're a very young team. I think Jordan Love is still kind of figuring out his footing. I think he can have games like we saw in the playoffs last year. He can also have games where he completely shits the bed. This team is going to be competitive against a lot of teams. I just don't think, kind of I almost see them a lot like no, not probably not in the same way as the Chargers, probably a little more offensive firepower than the Chargers, but kind of in that same vein. This is a team that could win a playoff game, probably will win a playoff game, but definitely not championship ceiling.
They remind me of the 2020 Bills, I'll be honest. And that
Yeah,
team
yeah, that's a
that
great
broke
point.
down with Josh Allen. Yeah. Firepower's there, but consistency not yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they're
and
going to
they'll
be
get
great
there.
for a long time. It's just a year too early.
But let's talk about the Niners. I just want to stick on them for a little bit. What do the Niners do after the season? Brock Purdy is going to be looking for a contract, probably a record-setting one. You have to pay him more than 60 million a year. Bosa's getting older. Probably not. Well, he's probably not the oldest one. Fred Warner's getting older. Kittle's getting older. McCaffrey's getting older. Got to make a decision on Debo this offseason. You re-sign Ayuk, coming out the ACL. Who knows what he's going to look like? Are the Niners, are they poised for a rebuild or kind of a retool around Brock Purdy? I don't know if this is the same as 2020, where a lot of these players got injured, but they were still younger. When they're older and get injured, you may not come back the same. So I think, Shree, what do you think the Niners go from here?
Um, the thing is, I feel like the right answer is going in and rebuilding, but I feel like they shock us every year, every other year. Let me say every other year instead of every year. Um, they come back with the same roster, and I know these guys are like these guys are older, but these are still some of the best players in the NFL. At the top of their position. Fred Warner, is undisputed. Like he was at the defensive player of the year race at the beginning of the year. Nick Bosa's up there. I know that they're injured, but why not give it one more year when you have everything? But the whole thing about building around Brock Purdy, he is a great quarterback. I don't think the quarterback skill is a question or not. It's just to me, it's just so insane how like people are just getting paid 60 mil a year now. and they're not even a top five quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he's playing like a top five quarterback in the NFL, like right now. Don't get me wrong, or like before at the beginning of the season. But to me, it's just insane how the market's just gotten like I can't believe Trevor Lawrence right now is like the I think he's the highest paid
Second
quarterback in the
highest,
NFL,
yeah.
second highest. Like I don't know, man. I don't know how the salary cap works. I have no idea how these GMs figure that out. But I think going in for another year is like fine. But obviously, I just give the most non-answer answer ever. But yeah.
Rohan?
Yeah, I think looking at their salary cap, they have space this year. I think they have like, I mean, it's not that much space. It's like $30 million, so it's not an incredible amount to go out and spend. But I think you can keep the band together for at least one more year. I think you sort of have to. I think maybe you make an interesting decision on Debo. Maybe you trade him off. Maybe you. I don't see him as a necessity to this team anymore. With the way Brock Purdy's playing, I don't think you need to surround him with like elite talent at every single position. I think you can run with McCaffrey, Kittle, and Ayuk. Ricky Pearsall looks good. Juwan Jennings looks great. I think you can probably keep most of this group together for the foreseeable future. And I think you have to. I think you've invested a lot of money in making this machine work around Purdy and McCaffrey. I don't see how you move off that. I think the defense is going to look a lot weaker in the next few years, but I think you have to trust that you got your guy in Purdy and hope that's what's going to get you over the hump.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rohan and Tree. This core is still good. They probably got another year or two left in them. I think a guy like Debo is one option that's going to be cut, which is a shame because Debo, when he was healthy and not he didn't have 5,000 hits on his body, he was quite a player. But regardless, um, on the whole, though, I'm not scared about the 49ers in the future. I think they'll be able to maintain their excellence that they've seen in the last few years. It's just they've had so many deep playoff runs, and their players are getting older, and they've been so injured, and there's so much mental fatigue as well that years like this are bound to happen. But on the whole, it's just a great organization, great GM, great head coach. They're going to keep finding talent in the drafts. They're going to be able to find good deals and good veteran free agents to bring in. I'm not too concerned. The Niners are going to be a good team for the foreseeable future, in my opinion.
And sticking in the NFC West, let's move to these like larger big questions. Shreya, I'll let you drive this in terms of the NFC West.
Yeah, guys. I feel like at the beginning it was like, oh, who's gonna win the division? They're all so close to each other. But like as the season's going on, it's just making me wonder, do any of these teams just deserve a spot in the playoffs? But obviously one of them do, because I think there's a team that actually is playoff worthy. But everyone's sitting within like one or two games of each other. We still got a good amount of games left for the season. Who do you guys genuinely have going to the playoffs? I'll go first. I think after this week, I think I have the Rams going to the playoffs. I think they're a well-rounded roster. I think the offense is a lot more consistent with the experience with Matt Stafford. I think with the injuries from the 49ers, with the inconsistency from the Seahawks and the Cardinals, the Rams just seems like the right pick for me, and with their easy schedule too. But do you guys have anyone else going? Maybe a wild card, anything like that?
I disagree with the Rams. I think they're 5-6 right now, coming off a really bad loss. The schedule is not easy. They have the Saints coming up. That's a sneaky tough game against a Saints team that's rebounding right now and also fighting for a playoff spot. Then you got the Bills. Then you have three divisional games and the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks, as well as the last game against the Jets. I don't view any of these as easy wins except maybe that Jets game. Um, I don't know if I had to put if I'm picking a team right now, I really want to say the Cardinals. Actually, no, I will say the Cardinals. That's because the Cardinals, they have the Vikings and the Seahawks
Okay.
coming up again. I think
The
that
Patriots.
first Seahawks game was weird. I think they call it the second one. Play the Patriots, the Panthers, very winnable games, and then they got the Rams and the Niners to close the season out. Niners look really vulnerable. I think the Cardinals have a pretty not clear path, but I think they can easily at least get 3 wins, maybe 4, and that should be enough to put them in.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rohan. I was just looking at the schedules just now. Rams, it's going to be tough. They're at 5-6. They have some tough games left on that schedule. And the Cardinals, like they're going to do it. I think they are going to win the division, but it's going to be with 9 wins. Like it doesn't even feel worthy to discuss this division. Like this is really. I was looking at the playoff simulator. I think they gave like the best shot any team. The New York Times, the best shot any team out of the NFC West has at making the Super Bowl is like 1% or 2% or something. Like it just feels so irrelevant. Why are we even discussing these guys?
Yeah, this feels like an NFC East for like from the
Yeah.
last few years, like a few
2020.
years ago, and they can never get an
And like the
actual team
Cardinals,
in.
like props to you guys. I think you guys are gonna win, but you're not that great a team. You know, like you're a mid team. You shouldn't be winning the division. Let's be honest.
No, 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 I agree. We're solid, we're just inconsistent. And
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, sorry,
yeah,
Rohan. I was just gonna say,
no,
no
no,
one. I mean, I would pick the Rams for the reasons you said, Tree, just because I trust them the most. But no one's gonna talk about the Seahawks at all. Like, no one's even gonna give them a chance. In fact,
well,
the
okay,
second
let's
team I
look
would
at
give,
the
if I'm not picking the Rams, I would pick the Seahawks. I mean, Geno's playing well. This defense played really well against the Cardinals. They played well against a healthy Brock Purdy and Niners team. Um, the Seahawks, I think, have the out of all the teams left in this conference, honestly, excluding or in this division outside the Niners, you can argue the Seahawks have the most talent relative to these other rosters. And if Geno continues to kind of play clutch football, he can sling it. I think the Seahawks have a pretty good shot
They
of
just have a
winning
tough
it.
schedule.
yeah, I mean they got the Packers, the Vikings, and embarrassing that looks better every week
Yeah.
now that Shane Waldron is gone. They
Rams
got
and
those three
Browns
down
as
the
well.
stretch in December. I mean, this is a Seahawks team that also, like, you just look at history, and with Geno Smith, they're not a particularly consistent team. This season, they haven't been consistent. They beat the Niners, but they lost to the Rams. They got smacked by the Bills. They lost to the Giants earlier. I mean, it's just a team that doesn't make much sense to me, and that's a team you don't really trust, I think, in December.
Yeah,
True.
they're feisty. I don't think that they're gonna, put together a stretch in December to win the division. You know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I
I,
agree with
I, I
that.
think
I'm
I think
just,
the key game
yeah.
is that Cardinals Seahawks game. I think whoever wins that has inside track.
Yeah. We'll see. And let's quickly talk about this weekend, Cardinals Vikings, Rohan. How you feeling about that? Tough game against, Vikings team. We haven't talked about them in a while. They're 9-2, and Darnold has kind of avoided the pumpkin allegations.
Yeah, I don't know why we haven't talked about them more when we talk about like contenders in the NFC. I mean, yeah, at some points they look rough, but 9-2 is nothing to scoff at. They find ways to win. Um, yeah, honestly, I don't like this game for us. It's a tough defense that likes to get after the quarterback. Sometimes I get concerned with Kyler's decision making under pressure. I don't think this is going to go well for us. If I'm being completely honest, I want to be optimistic, but I have to be realistic. This doesn't feel like a game we win. I mean, against a tough defensive coach, against a team that is doing a lot of things well on offense, and like trying to shut down Justin Jefferson doesn't feel like something that's really in our wheelhouse with our defensive talent. So don't love the looks here, but I think we need to start giving the Niners a lot more props. I mean, they've won 5 games in a row. That's not really anything to scoff at in the NFL, or 4 games in a row after lose. And they're not pretty wins all the time, but a win is a win.
Let me say, I was telling this to Rohan earlier, but Darnold had 2 bad games, right? Let me pull them up. He put up 3 picks against the Jags, right? No touchdowns. And then he had 1 pick against the Jets, right? In both those games, he put about 50 passer rating. In every other game, he's had 100 plus passer rating. On the year, he has a 102 passer rating. Like somehow we've just forgotten that Sam Darnold is playing very good football. And I want to bring back that segment we had a couple weeks back where we talked about if Darnold could get an All Pro nod. Do we think if he keeps playing like this, if he finishes with a 100 plus rating, if the Vikings are the second seed, if they finish like what 14-3, could Darnold get those types of award nods? What do you think?
I don't think you'll get all pro just because if you look at
Maybe
the
second seed?
NFC, I think Jared Goff will probably get it all pro for the NFC. I think
Who's
Pro Bowl, definitely. I think he's going to
yeah?
be an NFC Pro Bowl quarterback almost for sure. If you look at the other quarterbacks in this conference, you have Baker probably, maybe Stafford, but and Goff, obviously, we mentioned it hurts. But
Mhm.
I'd say Darnold's playing a top 3 quarterback in the conference for sure.
So where
Yeah,
do they go next year?
I think the bigger
I
question.
think he's not staying in Minnesota, that's for sure. I think
Yeah,
he's
I was.
priced himself out of Minnesota. And Daniel Jones earlier today. I think that's the
Yeah.
plan.
I just wish you went to the Cowboys, man.
The
I wish.
Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys Giants Thanksgiving. Isn't that a game?
Oh, Daniel Jones.
Oh,
I thought you were
Daniel
saying
Yeah,
Jones.
Sam
Daniel
Darnold
Jones.
to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Cowboys. So I was
I
like,
can't believe we have to watch Cowboys Giants on Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that was the bigger question for me. Like, if not, sorry, not Daniel Jones, if Sam Darnold, he gets an award or like he just goes crazy for like the rest of the year, do they stick with JJ McCarthy or like do they go with the proven talent of Sam Darnold for this year that's taken them far, maybe in the playoffs or something like that? But I
I
think
think
he's gonna.
absent a Super Bowl appearance and or win,
Yeah,
Sam
Huh?
they're
What
going.
about
Darnold
what about a
has.
conference championship if he gets them to?
I think like let's say he gets to the NFC Championship, he puts them in a position to win. I
Mhm.
think you have that conversation. But everything I've read about the Vikings is they love JJ McCarthy. I
Yeah.
just don't think you abandon that investment without seeing what you have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the two big contenders in this conference, the Eagles and the Lions. Seems like we're penciled in at this point. You know, are we penciled in for the NFC Championship between these two teams? Are there any other teams that we think could make it up there? I'm gonna go
Okay.
really quickly, just
Oh yeah.
because,
You go
or
ahead.
sure, if you want to go first.
I'm not trying to like be like overconfident or anything, try to have like some insane hot take, but I think if there's one team that's gonna upset the Eagles, I genuinely see it being the Vikings. Like I'm not trying
I can
to
see them.
be like anything like that. I think the Eagles had an amazing game against the Rams. Like Saquon Barkley went off, but if there's one team that I feel like can hang around with this offense, it is a tough Vikings defense led by Brian Flores. And our offense is nothing to be like is not bad either. I think we have a better matchup. Our defense versus their offense against against. Sorry, holy crap! But their defense against our offense. So I could see the Vikings and Lions having, the NFC Championship. Obviously, I'd give it to the Lions just because they're just insane this year. But that's one team that I would like put in the conversation too.
I just want to call out one other team. One
Yeah.
team that has beaten both of these teams this season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they have a very easy schedule, they do have a very easy schedule. They're staying at 5-6. I think their hardest game left on the schedule is against the Chargers. If they get into this dance, they're a 7 seed potentially because they've lost. I mean, the Falcons. We haven't talked about the Falcons a while, but they're looking a little ugly. There's a chance that they could drop down the stretch too, and Buccaneers could even win this division after getting swept by the Falcons. But the Buccaneers have beaten both the Eagles and the Lions this season. They're the only loss the Lions have had. I just want if Baker Mayfield is playing hot, like he's been playing great all season. He's got
Mhm.
Mike Evans back. As a 7 seed, I would not want to play the Buccaneers. And I'd be scared if I was either of these two teams playing them.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't hate it. I think,
Yeah, I think that's a good
but
team.
I do think come
Hey,
playoff time, like those losses were much earlier in the season. We're seeing different Lions and Eagles teams right now that are just pure dominance, especially
yeah, like we have the
offensively.
Lions putting up 40 and 50 points against like everyone.
I'm
Well, I
just
think
saying Baker Mayfield has owned the Nick Sirianni Eagles. He beat them in the playoffs last year,
that's
and he
true.
beat them this year
That's
too.
true, but I mean, you got to look at like Quinyon Mitchell's breakout. He's been great. Cooper DeJean's been great. I mean, you're really concerned about this Eagles defense, I think, coming into the year, and they've really filled in those holes
No,
very
it's an
nicely.
incredible defense. It is truly incredible.
God, I
Yeah.
hate
It's great to
The
watch.
what the one knock I'll give the Eagles is like I hate this argument, and you guys used it last year, but they really haven't played anyone this year, or like
Yeah.
on this winning streak. Like Commanders is kind of a tough game.
I thought they beat the
Dang.
Bengals are a good offense. They reeled
Yeah,
that score
they
down.
beat the
Yeah.
Bengals.
Good offense. I
The thing is,
said
they played a bunch of decent teams and they've pretty handily beat them. So it
Yeah,
shows
but
that
That's
I
true.
mean,
they're in
That's
a
true.
class far above them.
I think Eagles Ravens this
yeah,
weekend will
yeah.
be an
Hmm.
incredible litmus test for both these teams to see where they're at.
Yeah.
Are we talking about this game?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like we
Let's
should
talk
talk.
about it. What do
let's
we
talk
think?
about
What do we think? I'll go very quickly. I have a very quick opinion on this game. The Eagles are winning this game. I would
Yeah.
bet that like
I
95%.
agree. I
The
mean,
Eagles are a complete team. The
mhm.
Ravens are a running back and quarterback right now. The Eagles play. It's like the whole, Saquon versus Derrick Henry, Opoy debate. I think will be settled this weekend when you see Saquon, this offensive line just dominate games.
Mhm.
Jalen does not have to do that much. The best way for the Eagles to win is to not put on Jalen Hurts, but the only way for the Ravens to win is to not put on Lamar Jackson right now. So I would say, take the defense, Eagles win, I would say.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement there too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the Eagles are just top to bottom, every position unit. They're so good. And I think Lamar is going to really struggle against that defense. I'll tell you the truth. I think it's going to be a very bad game for the Lamar truthers.
Rohan?
Really, I don't know. I can see the Eagles winning, but the Ravens just feel a bit more like battle tested to me right now. Like they've been through the ups and downs. They're not on this roll right now. And it feels like this is a team that is like in the right spot to put the clamps down on
See,
Philadelphia. I'm
Rohan,
still gonna pick the Eagles.
I hear you.
I'm gonna pick
I think it's just more so that the Eagles are the better team. So
the
it
Eagles
seems
are a
like the
better team,
Ravens
but like
have been. It
it's
seems like the Ravens have been battle tested, but they're just like worse. So they played worse.
they're worse at winning the battles. No, that's fair. That's fair. But game at home for the Ravens. I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens won, but I'm barely picking the Eagles right now because they look like they're clicking in all facets more consistently.
Let's move to the AFC, sure.
Yeah. There's been a couple of games here and there for the AFC. I think at the beginning, we thought, Chiefs Super Bowl, like they're going back at it again, even though they had to start a rough season. But the Bills beat them pretty handedly. We're seeing the emergence of like other teams as well. The Chiefs aren't what they looked like from the past. They almost got beat by Bryce Young, which we actually called last week. I think that when me and Arjun were on there, Arjun
Yeah.
literally almost like Bryce Young. Who knows? But they had a close game. Actually, the last like 4 games, 5 games they had were one-score games. And these are teams like the Raiders, which is a divisional game. I get that, but the Bucks, the Broncos, they lost. They could have lost that.
They
This
lost.
isn't.
They lost to the Broncos on a blocked field goal. They should have
Yeah,
lost to the Broncos.
exactly. But are the Chiefs vulnerable? Do you guys see like what's the question here? Like they're not a lock for sure. I personally, I'm actually confident in the Bills in the postseason, even though Patrick Mahomes has got his number on Josh Allen in the postseason. But are there any other teams where you guys genuinely be like, okay, AFC Championship, I'm giving it to this team outside of the Chiefs?
I think the Chiefs, like, I hesitate to say this because we went to this exact same song and
Yeah,
dance last year. But this Chiefs team, like, the defense is not even as good as last year, very clearly. Like,
Yeah.
Trent McDuffie, we talked about how great his emergence is. He's getting cooked by, like, Xavier Legette, and David Moore against, and shout out to Bryce Young, by the way.
playing
Quite
good
a,
ball.
quite a game from him, and he's definitely been back since the benching. But I think, while it's a great story for Bryce Young, I think this Chiefs team is not that good. They're good on third down. They're good when you need to have them get a play, but they face, or if we're talking about can the Chiefs get by 3 games in the AFC playoffs, potentially by squeaking by these games, I don't think it's a sustainable way to win. They're
So who are you
Steeler
taking?
footballing their way to winning games here, and that's not a sustainable way to win Super
I
Bowls.
don't know. I don't know. Like you're using a lot of great logic here, but lo logic defied all of us last year when this was a
That
team
was
that
a
looked
better team. That
much
was a much
much
better
worse than
defense, I
everyone.
have to say.
Two things, Rohan. Like Arjun said, it was a much better defense. And the best team they ran into, the Bills, were very injured. We were down Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Christian Benford. That's our top two linebackers and our cornerback one. Hopefully that isn't the case this year. And if it isn't, I mean, the Bills are just the better team. We should beat them if we're healthy, if some nonsense devil magic doesn't happen. But that's the thing with the Chiefs. You never know. Like Mahomes could just put up 500 yards and 5 touchdowns and it won't matter. I don't think that team is that good enough this year to do that. But again, we'll see. Like you said, Arjun, I don't know if they'll be capable of squeaking together 3 wins in a row, but just have to see.
Yeah, and I still like them to get the one seed as the other thing, so I think that kind of puts them in prime position to at least make AFC Championship.
Hmm.
Um, the I mean, their only like real test is probably what the Steelers later on and the Chargers actually. Whereas
They have
And the
some tough
Broncos.
the
games.
Let's not
Broncos as
sleep on the
well.
Broncos.
Yeah, they got some tough games.
I'm sleeping a little bit, but the
Eh,
Bills
dude,
the
they
Bills
almost
got
beat
that
them
big
at
game against the
Arrowhead.
Lions that I think that could maybe not go their way. So I
Okay,
still think the Chiefs get the one seed if that's the case. They're making the conference championship. And if that's the case,
They got the Texans as well.
maybe the Super Bowl.
yeah. Now, here's the thing, guys. Like for me, it's like if the Chiefs fall to the 2 seed,
Hmm.
they're potentially matched up. I feel like to the Chargers or the Broncos as the 7, or maybe potentially even the Dolphins too. And like, I mean, I know it's Mahomes and everything, but we just discussed this isn't the same defense, and these are some great offenses that they're working with. So I'm not saying they're a wild card exit or anything. I think that'd be a very insane statement to make, very over dramatic. But it's rough for them. I genuinely just don't have confidence in this team this year. But then again, this happens every single year, so who knows?
Final point on the Chiefs. I don't want to like jinx any team here or anyone who's facing the Chiefs, but this Chiefs team reminds me a ton of the 2020 Patriots or the 2019 Patriots rather. Started off the season 8-0, were squeaking by a ton, didn't really have much offensive talent outside of, a GOAT QB. And then they got bounced in the wild card round by the Tennessee Titans, 14-13, ended the dynasty. Obviously, no dynasty is ending this year, but the way that they're squeaking by with the first, 10 games or 8 games of the season with defense and like third down conversions, that's not a way you win Super Bowls.
I will say, Arjun, if they win it this year, I think we're getting 10 Chiefs Super Bowls in a row.
I
because
agree.
like
Yeah.
it's
The way
nothing's
this
really
year
close to it.
it is black and white.
Unless Andy Reid like dies, like I think.
No, I my theory is Ben Johnson is waiting for Andy Reid to retire,
Oh,
and then he's gonna take
Yeah.
over in Kansas City,
oh.
and then we all like
But maybe
suffer.
he'll suck. Maybe he'll be a terrible head coach.
Um,
Um, Wait, but really quick thing, because you brought up the Dolphins. What are our thoughts on them? Are they making these playoffs?
They're a pretty
I
good team.
mean,
I think they
they've
could. I don't know what their schedule is, but they're a good team
Actually,
with
let
Tua.
me let me let me say their schedule right now. Actually, they got the Packers,
Mm-hmm.
Jets,
win,
Texans,
win,
Niners,
win,
And yeah,
Browns,
win,
Jets.
win.
should be like 4-2, 5-1.
That should be 4-2, five
I
and
think if
one.
they win the Packers game,
Yeah,
I would pick them to go all the way. But
yeah,
remember,
I mean
December Dolphins working against, very red hot Dolphins. What do we think wins out?
we'll see. I think McDaniel has been there for enough time now that he's able to instill his philosophy and know how to actually get a winning program going that they'll be ready for this December this time around. Especially because they have no margin for error. Tua was injured for a while. They dropped all those games. They're gonna have to lock it in. I think they will. I like this Dolphins team.
I think Tua is playing the best football of his career, by
He's
the way,
playing
post
great. Yeah,
injury. Like,
yeah,
I've never seen Tua this dialed in. It's
yeah.
not even like he's a Tyreek merchant at this point. Like,
Yeah,
Jonnu Smith and
I would
Devon
have
No,
switched
Achane
merges.
are
he's
the best
matured.
players on this offense right now.
He has really matured as a quarterback. He's looking good.
And the statistics, I don't have to top of my head, but like with Tua, without Tua, there's an argument to be made, like outside Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen,
Hmm.
that like Tua is the most important quarterback to his individual team.
I've
They
seen it.
jump
Yeah,
up 100 yards. They
yeah.
go from like 10 points per game to 25 points per game.
Hmm.
It's crazy stuff. But
bro, I've been saying for years, Tua is an incredible quarterback, and I think he does sneak this team into the playoffs, and I think he does give first round teams some fits. I think if this is a team you don't want to face. We're talking about the Buccaneers in the NFC. I think this is the AFC team you don't want to face if you're a division winner. I think if you are the 2 seed, 3 seed, you're looking at this game, you really want to avoid it.
Dude, they're a better team right now than they were last year when they were 9-3.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
Completely agree. Like this defense is also like
it's a
pretty
good
good.
team.
They're a very good
Yeah,
pass defense. I think they're like top three pass defense in the league right now.
yeah.
Um, so you have to give credit to the Dolphins for like pulling it together. We'll see what happens with them. Obviously this weekend, are we all picking them against the Packers? I personally am picking them against the Packers. I think
Is it in
Yeah,
Green Bay?
in Green Bay.
yeah. But I mean, I think the Packers just have so many people out. Dobbs is out, Jair Alexander's out. I think they have a linebacker out too. You know, I feel like this Dolphins offense just speaks for itself, even though you're not involving Tyreek Hill and you have your cornerback one out. So yeah, give me the Dolphins. I like the momentum that they have. I like the explosion from the offense. I think they're getting the win.
I agree. I think I'll pick the Dolphins here. They just look really hot right now. And the Packers are winning, but winning a little bit inconsistent. I think this is the wake-up call they'll need.
Camille?
I'm pretty torn. I think I'll go Packers just to play it safe. Um, Home game, Thanksgiving. I think we're gonna have a fun game by Jordan Love. So we'll see. But again, I would not be at all surprised if the Dolphins win this. I think it's just a tough game for them to win with how because they've been winning games recently. So this feels like a game on their schedule that they lose.
Yeah, this could be a really fun game. I think this could be a fun shootout. And the rest of the games on Thanksgiving, Bears Lions could be fun. If Caleb Williams and this offense continue to do what they're doing. Washington, or not Washington, sorry, the Giants and Cowboys, everyone go spend time with your families. No reason to watch football at that time.
Dude, the post-turkey nap is gonna be legendary.
Yeah. But hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. We're certainly thankful for On the Turf. Make sure to check out our Instagram. We'll have picks, power rankings, and stuff coming up. Get back on that normal schedule for this home stretch of episodes to give you guys all the content we can. My name is Arjun Ryan,
I'm Sri Bonkonda.
I'm Camille and Danny.
Good job.
and have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week on the turf.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's good.
Well,
All right,
yeah.
I gotta run, guys. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Arjun, let me know when you can you like send me the headlines. I'll make the next post if you're gonna
Yes,
send
yeah,
like
I
what you
will.
want on headlines.
We'll post it tomorrow. I'll post it tomorrow morning. I'll have this edited tomorrow morning.
Okay, I'll send it to you tonight then. I
Yes.
gotta
Okay.
run back.
All right.
All
Take it
right, see
easy,
you guys
guys.
later.
See ya.